Disney World Resort. Anthony Davis battling through a groin issue to score 20 points, playing a tough 43 minutes in the Lakers' OT win over the Knicks. Now, after last night's game, AD spoke about his health and status for tonight's game against the Rockets. Take a listen to this.
I'm hurt. Not more so my body, just my groin got tight. That was really it. Not sure where it came from. There's no way I was coming out the game. I mean, big game for us. A team who's playing red hot. The situation that we're in, trying to battle for 6, and it was a huge game for us. And I didn't want to come out no matter injury and finish the game and make sure we secure the win. Very strong possibility that fight through it and play since the next day is off day, but also don't want to have this lagging and then now I'm out for a couple games. So we'll see how I feel.
All right, so Perk, listening to all that and knowing AD is currently questionable for tonight, what do you think the Lakers should do?
I think they should sit him. Look, they're playing the Houston Rockets, and it's no disrespect to Coach Silas and Coach John Lucas, but they suck. They're not good. Even without Anthony Davis and LeBron James, this Laker team should be able to beat them. So they rest Anthony Davis, LeBron James come back tonight, and they still win in good fashion, and then he move on to the next game. But how Anthony Davis played last night, the minutes, the impact on his body, the workload, I wouldn't play him because it could possibly have a chance of risking another injury. So I would sit.
Real quick before I give my point, Perk, congratulations on your extension to get in the bag. And you're talking like you got the bag right now.
I was going to say, we get Perk unfiltered today. I love it.
The way you're talking like you just got the bag. So congratulations, and I feel you. But absolutely, they need to rest AD. You much rather have AD rest now. He already said he feels like he's back. His rhythm is back, which is most important. But you much rather rest him for rest than have to rest him to recover for an injury. So those groins are really tricky. He also got kneed in the quad late in that game, right above the knee. So AD's health is the most, outside of LeBron's health, just as important for them to make any run in the playoffs this year. So I would definitely rest him tonight and have him ready for the playoffs.
And the hope is that LeBron can play tonight, right? The goal for him was trying to get back into the lineup this evening. And look, the Lakers need every game they can get with a semblance of their full lineup, which, by the way, they wouldn't even have tonight either way. Dennis Schroeder, one of their starters, is still out. But just getting guys to understand what it's like to play with LeBron and AD together, since they've had new acquisitions and that chemistry is so important, you want him to play in a game tonight. But I do agree with both of you guys. It's not worth the risk of further injury. If he is out in the first round, I don't see how the Lakers advance past that with LeBron, who is still working his way back. No Anthony Davis. So I think you got to protect that at all costs. I think the Lakers have to realize that opposing teams are going to test both LeBron and AD when they're out there, try to make Anthony Davis change directions. Probably not a coincidence. Maybe he got a little knock in, what did you say, the calf area, right? That he got a quad?
I thought he got kneed above his knee.
Right in the quad, right?
Yeah, in his quad, so
I think they got to expect that all the time and take the precautions against it. We'll have to see what they decide later this evening. All right, coming up, Chris Paul, Steph Curry went at it last night. So that made us run it back on some of the top head-to-head moments between the two.
We believe days are over. We won 3 championships. I'm not part of no we believe team.
Draymond says the Warriors have gone from being the hunted to the hunters. Is this team giving you those we believe vibes? We've got a we believe guy on set. We'll ask. AD talked a lot of trash after the Lakers win, but should he rest tonight? We'll discuss. And Miami is heating up at the right time. You see what we did there? How dangerous are the Heat? So grab a seat. A steady one, of course, because this did not go so well for D'Lo. The jump starts now. Welcome to The Jump. I'm Rachel Nichols, joined by a couple of NBA champs who do know apparently how to find a seat. Matt Barnes sitting next to me. That seat looks lovely on you, Matt.
Fall.
And the fabulous Kendrick Perkins joining us from afar, but not for long. Kendrick's going to be back in the studio soon, so look for that. We've also going to talk about not just Kendrick's return, but the return of James Harden a little later in the show. First, though, the NBA's new play-in format has been the subject of much discussion over the past few months. Draymond Green scoffed at it. Luka Doncic questioned how fair it is. Mark Cuban, who voted for the play-in as a member of the Board of Governors, called it an enormous mistake. And then there was LeBron, whose take was that, quote, whoever came up with that stuff needs to be fired. Hey, change, as we know, can be hard, and I'm going to say it's probably not a coincidence. All those comments came right when the Warriors and Mavericks and Lakers were all falling into the play-in range of the standings themselves. Still, there was one thing that Cuban said to our Tim McMahon that really stuck with me. Cuban complained that, quote, rather than being able to rest players as the standings become clearer, teams have to approach every game as a playoff game to either get into or stay into the top 6. Yes, Mark, they do. And as we've seen over the past couple days, that is the feature, not the bug. Teams like the Wizards, who in the old format would have been tanking by now, are instead scrapping, meaning we're getting fireworks nightly from Russell Westbrook and, when he's healthy, Bradley Beal. Meanwhile, teams who in the past would have been content to just amble around the bottom half of the bracket are now desperate to get out of those 7 or 8 spots. Take the Heat, who after sitting at 7 just 6 days ago, have gone on such a tear, they're now at the 5 seed. And that in turn has pushed the Hawks and Knicks, who are in a tiebreaker with them, down to the play-in border, which meant last night we got a bruiser of a game between the Knicks and Lakers. Now, to Mark Cuban's point, in the past, this could easily have been part of the NBA's end of regular season Restorama festival that they like to hold. But instead, it was an all-out war, with both teams defending so hard that honestly, when I flipped to this game last night, the score felt so 90s throwback, I had to check it against the clock twice. Julius Randle was showing out against the team that let him walk 3 years ago. Then in overtime, we got Talen Horton-Tucker coughing up the ball twice, only to then hit the go-ahead three-pointer with 21 seconds on the clock. Oh, and did you notice Anthony Davis taunting Spike Lee? Oh, I'm so sorry, good sir. I can't hear you over the sweet sound of victory. AD tweaked his groin in this game. More on that later. But the win helped keep alive LA's hopes of making it out of the play-in, which is important, since if they don't, they will likely have to face off against the Warriors just to get into the main draw. And the Warriors are a problem right now. 2 nights ago, they knocked off an undermanned but still top-seeded Utah squad. Then last night, it was a nail-biting win against Phoenix. Steph had an uncharacteristically bad shooting night, going just 1 for 11 from 3. Although I'm not sure how you're supposed to even get a shot off when this is how the other team is defending you. I mean, there are 4 guys there on him. Still, the Warriors got it done, looking so scrappy. They brought comparisons to Golden State's 2007 We Believe team, a notion that Draymond then immediately shot down.
You know, no disrespect to them at all, because what they did was incredible. But no, we're not no We Believe 2.0. Got
back it
Curry
on.
on our team.
Yeah, the Warriors have bleeping Steph Curry, which last night aside is what makes them so dangerous in this new format that has transformed the final leg of the regular season. So should the guy in the league office who championed the play-in tournament really be fired? As far as I'm concerned, he deserves a raise. Shout out to Evan, by the way, who is who we were talking about. Okay, Matt, so you are one of the most qualified people in the world to answer this question.
Yes.
Despite what Draymond may have said, does this current Warriors team remind you of your We Believe Warriors team?
Absolutely not.
Okay, he is right.
This team is coming off a dynasty,
Yeah.
3 championships. I think what made that We Believe team so special, because if you look at it, it was about 3 months. We won 1 series,
Right.
we lost in the second round. What made that team so special is the bond we developed off the court, how everyone ended up in Golden State, the bonds our moms had before my mom died. So we were just a team that was different. But all you're seeing right now at Golden State is what you're supposed to see is they're getting hot at the right time. So I completely agree with Draymond. We're not offended by it. He's right.
Yep. What do you think, Perk?
Well, look. I actually like it, and I'm not talking about the overall dynasty, man. I'm talking about same position, right? The same position. Y'all were 8 seed that went up against the number 1 seed and beat Dallas that year, right? This is the same position. The Golden State Warriors are probably going to be the 8 seed, and they're going to go against the top seed. And so I see it because no one believed in them, and I get it. They have Steph Curry, one of the greatest shooters of all time, one of the greatest players of all time. But you're right, they were different. Y'all had Baron Davis, who's, by the way, one of the most underrated PGs
absolutely.
of all time to ever play the game of basketball. And when I look at the personnel, yes, y'all had dogs, right? Y'all had killers. Y'all had guys that would get up into your airspace, get up into your face, that wanted all the smoke. They have guys that could play. They don't want all the smoke, but they go out there and get the job done. And when I look at a guy like Andrew Wiggins, he reminds me a lot of Steven Jackson right now, the way that he's playing. He's playing both ends of the floor. He's contributing offensively at a high rate, efficient rate, and he's bought into the culture. I'm not saying that they are y'all personality-wise.
They are
but
not.
I'm saying same position, and I love the direction. I kind of love the comparison, not the dynasty overall, just this year.
Well, let me take that the next step, Perk. And by the way, I'm going to just let the Wiggins Jack thing float because, yeah, that's better not to get into on television. But I will say this. If you look at them being potentially the 8th seed against a number 1 seed, which is Utah right now, the Jazz just announced that Donovan Mitchell will not be playing the rest of the regular season. He is going to debut back from that injury in the first round, so he will be just getting his legs back under him. Matt, what would you say right now if you had to pick a Utah Warriors first round series?
I would love to see the Warriors win, and I think they have a great chance, especially if their leading scorer, someone who leads them on both sides of the floor, and Donovan Mitchell is either struggling. Everyone knows an ankle, you can't just turn it on with an ankle. If it's not feeling good, it's going to be tough, and to have to chase a Steph around and play it out of so many pick and rolls, that can really hinder this team. So I said this earlier, and I say this with all due respect to Utah and Phoenix. I wouldn't be surprised if a 7-2 or a 1-8 upset happened in the first round of the playoffs this year.
Who you pick, Perk?
Well, first, Rachel, let me go back to your point real quick. I would never disrespect my big brother stacking.
Let me clear that up.
Okay, you got that part right. They two different people.
They're pretty different.
But I will say this: I want you and Matt to go back into the bubble with me last year, right? And you remember what Jamal Murray did to the Utah Jazz to get through that series? Are y'all telling me that Steph Curry can't do the same thing? He can.
Absolutely.
And then also, you're looking at 2 former Defensive Player of the Years going at it. Rudy Gobert and Draymond Green. Draymond Green is so awesome at anchoring the defense and calling out sets and putting guys in position to be successful. But you look at guys like Poole. You look like guys like Looney, who's been there before. And if the Utah Jazz are not healthy, Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley coming off an injury, hey,
anything
the Golden State Warriors got a fair shot.
Absolutely.
Well, look, Draymond Green said the other night he thinks he's Defensive Player of the Year. Rudy Gobert has said he thinks he's Defensive Player of the Year. I believe Drew Holiday just told Yahoo he thinks he's Defensive Player of the Year. I know that we've heard Joel Embiid say that he thinks he's Defensive Player of the Year and MVP. The only one who I can never get to stump for himself, Nikola Jokic, is always so humble. He's like, I'll let other people talk about MVP. Other players, though, they have some thoughts about where they go, and Draymond's certainly one of them. All right, let's take a look at today's magic moment brought to you by Walt Disney.